Greetings, folks. This is a BlackWeasel, and this is my video game review of Phantasy Star for the Sega Master System. This game is part of the Sonic's Ultimate Genesis collection on the PlayStation 3. I got this game as part so I can play Sonic the Hedgehog games and all the lesser-known games of the Sega Genesis. Plus, I got a bigger collection of the Sega Genesis for the PlayStation 4, but that one does not have the first Phantasy Star game, even though it has Phantasy Star 2, 3, and 4. But that's why it's called the Sega Genesis Collection, not the Master System Collection. Anyways, I played this game, and so here I am making a review video about it. To start off, this is a real primitive turn-based role-playing game straight out of 1988. But what drives the first Phantasy Star game is the story. It's about a woman whose brother gets killed by robot cops, and she gets revenge by taking on the King Lazik. Yeah, that's the name. Lazik of Algol. Now, Algol is a star system that consists of 3 planets. Palma, which is the planet full of green trees, nature, life, and all that jazz. And Motivia is a planet that's basically a desert. And Dezoras is a planet filled with ice. Lazik has turned into a cruel dictator that rules over the star system with an iron fist. He obviously needs to get stopped, but the main character is not going to charge in by herself. And so she needs help, and is eventually assisted by a strong warrior named Odin, after the Norse god of war, whom Kratos will eventually fight when God of War 2 comes out. And she is helped by a talking cat named Meow, which is M-Y-A-U, Meow. Real clever. And she's finally joined by a magician named Noah, and that's that. Phantasy Star is a forerunner of the story-driven games being released in America and Europe. Before that, there were games that were straight up arcade and filled with simple objectives of who to attack and who to shoot to gain points. Phantasy Star has a meaningful story and plot that won't end unless the main bad guy of the game gets defeated. The graphics are real simple, but what gets better is when the fight starts happening. There is always one type of monster shown on the screen that I fight against. When there can be multiple monsters at once. And the one shown on the screen won't disappear unless I kill all of them. What I like about Phantasy Star is that they have the courtesy to show how many hit points does the monster have left before it dies. This game is one of the rare ones to do that. It was made in the late 1980s. 3 RPG game series that showed the monster's health bar is Persona, Grandia, and Kingdom Hearts. The sound effects and the music of the game are really basic and simple. The 4 characters in the party have different abilities and skill sets, which sets the tone for teamwork. Odin can't use magic, and so he's the go-to guy for killing monsters. Noah is great at magic, but he has weak strength and defense. Multiple times, he's the first guy to die when I have come across strong monsters. And Meow can use both magic and strength, and so the talking cat has options. I can help my party or concentrate on killing the bad guys. And Alice, the main character of the game, she has all the abilities and it moves and is strong in both departments. But on the flip side, the opportunity cost sets in when it comes to fights. Should I attack right now or focus on healing my party members? Now, for exploring dungeons, caves, and castles, Phantasy Star focuses on the first-person view of walking through danger. It makes getting to where I need to be real tricky and more complicated than it needs to be. They need to include a map so I know where to go, but then again, for a home console game put out in the 1980s, it is probably hard to do that given a lack of space. But that's essentially the reason why Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy went the road of 2D top-down perspective instead of first-person viewpoints. Phantasy Star tries to be a trendsetter for this route, but they lost by doing this because I got lost while going through the dungeons, caves, and castles. Eventually, I got frustrated from getting lost and falling through the traps that get set out, and so I relied on online game guides to help me out. I don't like relying on online help, but the way I see it, I'm using maps to guide myself towards the location. I'll give Phantasy Star a 9 out of 10. It's a great game that's ahead of its time, but there's some flaws that hold itself back. I have played this game on September 5th, 2018, and I finished it on October 23rd, 2018. It took me over 27 hours to finish Phantasy Star.